Hello, everyone.
You are about to witness a time capsule of a video.
When you watch The Weatherman on your local TV news, that is a form of artificial reality. There's no real map behind me. It's just a plain blue screen. A computer creates that illusion. Well, the next step is virtual reality, which allows me to interact with that artificial environment behind me. And as you can see here, this is a virtual reality game called Continuum. And I can actually move inside that space and turn around and see it from all kinds of different angles. Now, if you think this stuff is just for fun and games, you are wrong. There are some important.
No, this was made in 1992.
This new technology, as we'll find out today when we focus on virtual reality on this edition of the Computer Chronicles.
Gee willikers.
I'll be right back.
What?
I'll be right back. I gotta put the fan to me. I'm sweating.
Computer Chronicles has been made possible in part by PC Connection and Mac Connection, mail order software and hardware peripherals for the PC and the Macintosh, and the Software Publishers Association, providers of educational materials to help manage software. Don't copy that floppy.
Don't copy that.
Welcome to the Computer Chronicles. I'm Stuart Chaffee, and with me this week is Jim Kramer, president of Virtual Technologies. Jim, when we read about virtual reality these days, it tends to be about arcade games. You pay a certain amount of money and you put these goggles on your head and you shoot down aliens in 3 dimensions and so on. You are developing a virtual reality application using your cyber glove, which you call the talking glove, that's far more important and far more serious. Tell us how it works.
Well, the talking glove uses the gesture recognition capabilities of the cyber glove. Here I'm fingerspelling as the American fingerspelling alphabet.
That is legitimately
cool. Spelling, those letters are being spoken and being displayed for us also.
So could you actually do words besides just the letters?
Sure.
Hello.
Okay.
Stuart. How are
Hey, Chris, get on this. Valve, make
today?
this.
That's fantastic. So even though I can't understand sign language, I know what you're telling me because you've translated it for me.
Right. The talking glove allows a non-speaking deaf or deaf-blind person to communicate with a hearing person.
Jim, what you're doing there, I guess, would be called gesture recognition. What other kinds of applications would there be for gesture recognition in a cyber glove?
Well, you can use the same gesture recognition routines to control a graphic interface.
And we'll see some of that later in the program. All right, indeed,
Why
we'll
has
see
no one just
several
made the
virtual
glove?
reality applications today, including the virtual hand, the data glove, the cyber glove, and cyber CAD. Now, you know a product category is maturing when it gets its own trade show. Well, at the recent Software Development Conference in Santa Clara, California,
Just like
there it
Valve,
was,
just
the
release a
virtual
glove.
reality show.
I would buy a
It's not
Valve
quite
glove.
Comdex yet, but it was the computer industry's first virtual
And
reality
this would
exhibit.
be super
AI
useful for
Expert
deaf
magazine
people.
hosted the
Yeah,
show,
and
which
blind
included
people and
6
people.
VR vendors
You know,
and products
like
that were
a
still
deaf and
clearly
blind
in the
person would be-
development stage.
We're looking at the Model T Fords.
Or maybe not a blind
virtual
person, but
reality.
still a deaf person.
Resolution is low, the headgear is uncomfortable. But what's exciting about this showcase is the promise of the technology.
Crystal River Technology
No,
was
it
one of the
took
exhibitors.
almost
While everyone else seems to be focusing on the visual aspects of virtual reality,
18
their
years,
approach
but
is to
we
work
got
on
to
virtual
where it's-
audio.
Since the visual systems that we're
Mostly
working with today are
passable
not very
now.
good, it's very difficult to build a very precise stereo imagery system. But we can build a very precise audio imagery system. And we're closer to closing the loop all the way to perfection. That is, building systems that are almost mistakable for real life.
You may think you need expensive equipment to experiment with virtual reality, but one company here claims to have an inexpensive system that lets you turn CAD drawings into virtual reality environments.
We provide full virtual reality functionality, working on a standard IBM-compatible PC, all being done with no programming required by the end user. So it's complete,
shave
easy
it
to
off,
use,
sir.
and I don't want to forget, affordable virtual reality system that people can actually load on a stock
Because here's the
PC.
thing.
But what
I
can
don't
you
mind
actually
people
do with
being
the stuff?
bald. Bald is
At
wonderful.
Straylight Corporation, they're already planning the
Balding,
virtual
however,
shopping mall.
Another application is marketing research,
You
where
know what I'm
people
saying?
are planning out
Yeah,
store
the
shelf
comb over
plans,
never works.
and researchers
Like,
will take
you can
hundreds of
own
subjects
being
through
bald.
a store
It's like how
that's a
I own
virtual
my
store,
hairstyle
and let them
of
select
what the
packages and
heck
items
is
on the
that?
shelves and try different
Don't
arrangements to
come
find out
near
what the
me
most
with it.
attractive arrangement will be for a
You saw
particular
my
product.
hair on that
For the Computer
webcam,
Chronicles, I'm Maria Gabriel.
No one wants to touch that.
but I own it. I look like an eccentric professor. One day someone's gonna draw me, and it's gonna be like,
In these early days of virtual reality, we tend to think of it in
tell
a
everyone
game
right
or
now.
adventure environment, but virtual reality is also an important design tool. Here to show us some examples are Chris Ellis, cyberspace missionary with Autodesk, and also Linda
I'm over
Jacobson,
6'5"
who is a
at
computer
least.
writer and editor and specialist in the
Which
area
makes
of
my
virtual
voice
reality,
the most
and
funniest
put together
thing
this
in the
handy-dandy guide to
world.
virtual reality from the people who make AI Expert magazine. Linda,
You still
let me
sound
ask
like
you,
a
there's
teenager.
So much hype about virtual
No
reality,
offense,
and so
but
much
you do.
confusion about
Yeah,
it.
but I
What is
am
the
as
state of
tall
the
as a
art right now?
door
What is
frame.
virtual reality? Where's the technology at?
It's coming out of the labs and into our laps, almost. Almost, Stuart. The technology that's called virtual reality has been around in the 40s and was mostly found in huge research institutions, mostly government-related, military-related, then moved into the giant educational institutions and is now moving down into the labs and offices of private businesses that are creating systems for people like doctors and architects and scientists to use to help them understand their data.
And so we have cyberspace missionaries like Chris at Autodesk. What's the philosophy at Autodesk? How are you using the concept of virtual reality?
Well, right now we're working on developing just the basic software tools that
Does that guy have a comb over?
developers will use to write these applications.
Oh my God, I think he does.
Have pretty much been
writing
writing their
own
software
I don't think
no matter where
I don't
they
think
are.
it's enough to be a comb
for
over.
an industry
so you know what?
to
That's
get
okay.
started
That's
and to be
okay, sir.
widespread,
Yeah.
The people
Just
who don't
when
have
you get to that
expertise
point,
in
do not try a
real-time
comb over.
simulation need to have
Yeah,
tools that they
just
can buy,
just
pieces of
admit
code
to
and so
yourself
forth that
that
they
it's
can
gonna
put
look
together,
bad.
So they only need to work in their particular areas of expertise.
Get implants
we have a
for
fair
a
amount
wig.
of tools, hardware here. Why don't you go through this whole setup for us,
Well,
Chris, and tell us
the
what
thing
you're
is,
Okay,
like
well,
I
first
said,
of all,
bald can look
We're
good.
running these
Comb overs do
software,
not.
these simulations
Okay?
on PCs, a 386 here, a
Bald can look
486
good.
here. We have a variety of I/O devices. Remember,
I wish
VR
my dad-
is not about
I wish my dad would
just
shave himself.
exotic I/O devices. You can run it with a mouse, regular old Microsoft mouse, up to the more exotic sorts of input devices. Yeah, this is a data glove. This is one of the two items that the public seems to mostly associate with VR.
The goggles.
The other are the goggles, the head-mounted display. You have the computer.
How did it take you
tracks
like
this as
several
you wear it? You have two
big
small TV sets
companies that
inside
do VR?
that
Why did it take you this long to come up with a glove?
And it really allows you to be in the middle of the computer graphics. It allows the graphics to
Is it just you were
surround and gives
lazy?
a real feeling
Or the
of
fact that wasn't the priority at the
let's
time?
start out
That's
with what
probably
you
the
have over
reason.
there on the right.
Because
What's
you
on that
easily
monitor?
could have found one of these
this is
weird
actually
old
a,
pawn shop somewhere and then just
something that we started working on when we
improved on the
wanted to
design.
get away from the feeling of VR having to have goggles and gloves. So I'm controlling this display just with a mouse and eventually with a keyboard.
Because
but it's still the display is still I'm
that's
looking
the
up,
heck
I'm
with
looking
the
down,
VR.
I'm looking
For
left
me,
and
as I'm
right
a
and so
hip-
forth. So it's
a
still,
feedback glove.
governed from the viewpoint of somebody who's wearing.
Well, if you
a
touch
head-mounted
something, you
display.
feel
So
it.
you are kind of moving around in that environment, controlling it with a mouse.
I have balls here that are suspended in space. Now they're attached. I can
I'm
increase
trying to-
gravity, decrease gravity, and so forth. I can.
So then you're not pulling that. You're changing the physical parameters of that
I'm
environment.
Actually, you know what? I think it might be better
And I
if
can
we
even
just
let me
keep
move in
keep
here
our
a
only
little bit.
recording to this because
Get a
I've
little
got.
closer and I
Oh
can
yeah,
I've
that's
got
yeah,
someone-
that's what I was planning to
someone
do
who's picking
anyway.
me up today
and make it heavy.
and
And
like
then if I
clearly we
detach
are
one
not
end,
on our A game right
you
now.
get the kind of interaction, and now I can add
I missed-
energy to
that's
the
just-
system.
Oh man, that's
And you get the kinds of
well, I'm about to be because I'm thinking.
the kinds of movement that you might expect. Or if I
want an XCOM
down
game,
here, perhaps in
but set in like
grab one of
1992 exactly.
Right.
I can
Why
move
that?
up and
So you can sort of.
So we
play
get
in
this
that
sort
world.
of technology.
This is
Yeah.
this isn't say a complete application.
Sure.
This is merely a demo that
Or
one of the
FMV
programmers
game
worked out
set
to
in this
test out
era.
physics, to test out.
Well, you have another
spring
one that maybe
forces and
people
so
can
forth.
relate to, which is a billiards
Right.
simulation.
So yeah, let me bring that up. This is when you add a little more complicated interactions. To
Just
the,
imagine this this weird old
simulation.
1990s technology, but
Up here, and
you have
again, you've got
Now you're controlling where you
because
are
we've
with
had
the
an
mouse.
Exxon
the
game set in the
mouse, and
40s.
this is actually
We've
another
never
kind
had
of view.
Exxon
This
game
is
set in the
deciding that
90s.
what I'm really interested in is the cue ball, and so I'm no matter where I look, I'm going to be.
And you know what?
rotating
It can be
around
the
cue ball.
goofier XCOM game.
And
It can be
we've
the
got a little shot
it can be
here.
the Double Dragon Neon of
Here
the
you've gotta
series
be
to get people
simulating the
into
real
it.
physics of this
Oh,
environment.
I have the ultimate. Okay, I've had a
Because you know about Double Dragon Neon, right?
Oh, absolutely. But I have in my
All right, Chris,
brain.
what's going on over here on the left-hand monitor?
You there's
Okay, well,
my.
actually, what you're seeing
I
here
came
is
up
the
with
same
with my own
simulation that we were
XCOM
seeing
game.
earlier on the other computer.
One of the
with
units is just a
different graphics
bear.
hardware,
So the
that
ball's
it-
hanging from the two arches.
Right.
Uh-huh.
This looks different,
Wow.
but it's same software. and so forth.
Because
It's
the
being
idea
controlled this
is-
time by the head-mounted display, so that as this moves,
Because the
picture
idea of the game is
Yes.
You have a
evil
volunteer.
humans from the
Okay,
future
so
come
Linda
back
will
to
go
take
into
over our
virtual
time.
reality.
In it.
All right.
And we're seeing
And
that
you
on
team
this
up with the
computer monitor
aliens
what she is seeing.
and whatever
Right.
else you can
And
find
so she
to
puts
fight
her
off
head
the evil
left,
humans
right,
from
right
all the
down,
reality of the
so
Move her in
future.
a little closer here, and she actually can get much more of a feel of just how large this model is.
Uh-huh.
Which
That's pretty cool.
which means you also get
I'm changing gravity there so that
one of the
pull on
best
these-
factions
on
you
these
can
sections
recruit
slightly
besides just the bears.
smaller. And
So Linda,
actually,
your
if you-
world is changing as he's
Oh,
adjusting
cryptids.
it.
I'm
Yeah.
getting lighter and lighter, Stuart.
So
You want
if
the ultimate
you,
aerial
just sight in
unit?
on one of those. Whoa, here, just
Mothman.
down and let's
Nice.
grab one.
How about that
So
one?
you're going to make that object heavy.
Also, they kind of messed up when they
Yeah, and it's
bumped
it
into the.
settles down a little more.
And so
You
Linda...
can see that actually more
Oh,
if we
so-
increase gravity
Yeah.
here.
Messed
Whoops, so
up
Linda has to
things.
bring her head down to keep up with you.
So
Right.
jellyfish are
And so
a
that-
unit.
that,
Also,
adds
hyper
in then
intelligent
that
Right.
soup
additional
pile.
spatial
Oh
Okay, now
God!
can we
One
add
might
the
have.
glove
No,
element?
no,
Now, what
jellyfish
does
are
this
sort of
do?
like
Okay, well,
drones,
actually, in order to add the glove,
but
I'm gonna
cephalopods and
move over to
octopuses,
another,
they could
another
even be
demo. This is
outside to
actually
see and
older
be
software,
infiltrators and go
than what
like
we're
you know how
Not the
octopuses can
latest
go
working
through
with
almost
the
not the
any
latest
Show
stuff,
how
any
the
hole,
glove
but it
works.
provides
as long
a
as
good
it doesn't,
example of
you
just
know.
how glove interaction might happen. So put this on, one finger per stand.
I'm just gonna post this image on Twitter with Cyberpunk 2077 written on it.
Do it.
Okay, I'm getting the screenshot now. Give me a moment. I'm getting the screenshot right now. I don't tweet a lot, but that image just hit me, and I'm getting the screenshot right now. Just right here. Just her. Let's see her. Yep. Saved. Let me see the image. Yep. I'm just gonna post this one image on Twitter with just Cyberpunk 2077. Thank you. I don't know why, but that's a very funny image just to have the image Cyberpunk 2077 captioned. I know it's old, but it just came to me in a dream. It just hit me like a
Standard
truck.
issue. This is good. That's good. Okay.
So now basically this glove is the
Yep.
input device and the goggles are the output
Are the
device
output
for
device.
Linda.
Right.
So she can determine now what she's going to look
No,
at
but
by
yeah.
pointing.
By pointing where she wants to move within the
You
model.
knew
So at this
something would
point, if
happen when
you
that
make
popped
this,
up, did
You
you?
can calibrate the glove right
Yeah,
now. So
tell
it
the-
I
knows
had
what
no
a fist is
idea.
and what an open
That
fist
my
is.
brain would just
And now
go.
we can
Sort of
see
letting you
her
know.
hand on the screen.
But yeah, the
in
idea
this
behind it
environment.
is just you've got to
Linda,
fight
tell
this
us what are you doing now?
overwhelming
What's your
force with
experience?
ridiculous
Well, I'm definitely
troops.
in cyberspace, and you can see I'm moving my hand. You can see my
What-
hand in cyberspace also moving.
Including
Now, if
cryptids,
you point someplace
aliens.
where you want to go,
Let's go there.
and
Let's
you'll
go
No,
there.
this
Go
is the
there.
worst.
And you just
Whoa!
follow
I
it.
just floated
Uh,
right through a
you follow your
column.
No,
there. Okay, let's go in the other
uh,
direction.
Any other crypt?
Ooh.
Can I go up?
Oh yeah,
What's
that
with
thing
the
is like
hand?
So you're in charge of this
Let's go
world
down.
now.
What's with the hand?
Okay, we're going to have to get
It's
out of this
trying
world,
to.
guys. We're out of time.
This thing doesn't run at
All
a
right,
frame
well,
rate. It runs at 15 frames a
Chris,
second,
Linda, thank you very much.
which is still
All right,
impressive
here's
for
a
back
classic
then.
problem. Your architect is designing. a
I
new home,
know,
and you're
but it
trying to
scares
decide
me.
Whether to spend more
Yeah.
money for some extra goodie, but what will it look like? You say, with a virtual reality product called Walkthrough, you can get an answer.
No, but what I was
Very
going to
hard
mention
show
would be.
clients what something's going to look like if you're trying to represent it on a piece of two-dimensional paper.
But
architect Larry
one of the
Mortimer has
cryptids would
solved
make
that
just
problem
good
by using a
units
new
besides
virtual
all of them.
reality program called the Vertus Walkthrough. It lets the client actually see a proposed design.
The other thing that Vertus allows
Can you-
us to do is to change
I-
things very easily.
I know the
Even
obvious,
while
like
we're
the
having a
Loch Ness
session with the
monster,
client, we
but
can
that would be
change parts of
that
the
would be
model.
sort of
We can add
dinosaur.
windows very easily.
Well-
we can add furniture to the model. We can do what ifs.
Dover Demon.
Until we're just tired of doing them.
While the virtual reality
Assassin-like
software
unit.
can't replace the real thing, it does help the client to visualize the architect's plans.
Weird,
You're
creepy.
spending an awful lot of money
Can just
in
go
a
behind
project
stealth.
like this, and if there's a way that you can see the space, feel
Bigfoot,
the space
obviously.
before it's built, then I think it makes the client feel more secure about the money that's being spent.
Changing the design is easy. You simply point, click, or drag. In other words, you don't have to be a computer expert to use the software.
You have the ability to walk through a drawing almost in real time.
Let's
when
see,
we
what
show a
other
model to a
cryptids can I
client,
put in
quite
there?
often the client will ask, well, can we look at this view, or can we look down there, or can we turn around and look at what we just walked through?
The striker
And with
unit
Vertus,
is.
you can do that.
No, the Jersey Devil is
You can
odd.
tailor what you're seeing to what
Chupacabra, the
client is
desert
asking you
unit.
right on the spot with just
No,
moving the mouse
one of the
and clicking
Chupacabras in the
various
game.
directions.
Vertus Walkthrough is available for the Macintosh for under $300. For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Maria Gabriel.
Did you hear me? Because the coolest Chupacabra would be a desert unit.
Yep.
And a jungle unit type.
One virtue of virtual reality is
Oh,
that
the
it lets us
paranormal
communicate
unit.
with a computer in 3 dimensions rather than just 2 dimensions. Here to show us how is Jim Kramer, president of Virtual Technologies. Jim, your glove is called the Cyber Glove, and you've just put it on. Tell us exactly what's going on in that glove and what we're seeing in the screen here.
Right. This
Okay, that
is a
hand looks
22
better.
sensor Cyber glove. It has sensors over each of the 3 main knuckles of the main 4 fingers. It also has abduction sensors between each of the fingers, in addition to a wrist pitch and yaw sensor and a thumb.
See,
rotation
that's
sensor.
running at
As
a
we look at
decent
the
frame
screen,
rate.
What's happening?
Well, this is a fairly simple hand model, although it does show the functionality of the Cyber glove.
Look,
And it's
that's
following the
a
movement
better
of
hand,
all
better
the
hand.
joints in
Very
your
good.
hand right now.
Right.
We'll
so as
also
I
have
flex
the-
my fingers, the different colored fingers on the screen are
But
also flexing.
not
What I'd
just
like to draw
ghosts, you have-
attention to is the accuracy that we
God.
can actually control. The
But
glove.
yeah, jellyfish are like
touching,
drones,
touching
because
the-
that's what
the
jellyfish
fingertips.
is.
And,
It's a sea drone.
Again, the thumb can rotate fully across the palm and give you a lot of different articulations of the hand.
Now, Jim, what are the sensors in the glove that can do this so finely?
It's a resistive technology that it's
Oh, you'll
linear,
have robots
and it
you
gives
can
a very
recruit.
high resolution output, and that's a big advantage because a different size hand, for example, wearing the same glove, it will produce the same outputs from the sensor, so it's unnecessary to calibrate.
Oh, that's actually quite
Yeah,
interesting.
exactly. Notice you didn't calibrate when we began, but if I want to,
But
can
yeah,
you calibrate that glove? to
because
fine-tune it
unlike
even more?
because I'm
Yes,
gonna
yes, you
expand on
can.
the XCOM
We
concept a
have
little bit
a,
more.
A slider menu here where you can change just the offsets and gains.
Where
of each
you're
sensor. As I
not
said, they're
like a
linear, so
guerrilla
you can
faction
adjust every one of
working,
those
you
points.
know, you're not
Parameters,
small this
are
time.
for each
It's more
of the
grand.
sensors. And so if I needed to fine tune it, I can just grab on one of these sliders
Right.
here and change that.
So you really have fine control over that calibration.
Okay.
Right.
All right, now, Jim, over here
Bit
on
more
this monitor,
grandiose
we're looking
in
at
scale.
what's called a joint histogram. Now, what is that? That's connected
Because
to
the
this glove, I
idea
take
of
it,
sending
right?
a bunch of
I'll put that
black-eyed
on.
children.
Okay.
Each one of
You-
those histogram bars represents the
Yikes.
value of a sensor.
Yeah,
on
you
the
know,
glove.
black-eyed
What we
children.
have up
You
at
know,
the
the
top of
children just
screen,
know
0 to 256
eyes
directly from the A to D converter.
into your enemy
And
stronghold,
so I've got
the glove
enemy
on now.
cities,
And
just to cause general distress.
The status of each of my joints. So
Sounds amazing to
my
me.
index finger.
Right, and the joint names on the side are inner thumb, outer thumb, inner index, etc.
And I can sort of spread. That's the what you call the abduction.
Right.
Okay, now what is the point in this particular histogram? Is this how you would really develop it and find?
Because that's the paranormal unit's main use outside of combat. It's causing distress in the enemy city.
This graphic hand model that we're displaying here on the screen. So the actual hand
because
model
you
that
send,
is drawn
like,
is
you go to the
dependent
main
upon
headquarters in the
graphics
city, you
processing
send like a
capability of the
banshee,
computer, although,
just
in
screeching
any
at
case,
300
those are the values
decibels.
that the computer receives.
All right, Jim, I want to ask you next to show me what you can actually do now with the glove.
That just lowers the morale, doesn't it?
All right. We're going to be using a Silicon Graphics workstation for our graphics processing. We have a standard PC that's doing gesture recognition. We have a couple instrumentation units, one for each of the cyber gloves that we're wearing, and some instrumentation units for various electromagnetic position sensors.
At least we got
Now,
that
the glove
problem
you have on, I
fixed.
see you have a black switch and an LED. What's that for?
Well, that actually enables the gesture recognition capability of the glove.
How did somebody?
glove is on now. Show us
How
what
did
you
somebody
can
from
do.
Valve
What
not
do we
find
see on
this
the screen
technology
here?
and scoop
Well,
it up?
this is our virtual workspace.
I don't
where
know,
you
but
could use
yeah,
a
at least we
head-mounted
got the
display
whole
to actually be immersed in the graphics,
box
but instead
thing
we're just
figured
displaying
out.
it here on the flat screen monitor. What I'm able to do, and rather than using a mouse, I'm able to just make a hand formation. For example, the fist.
But yeah,
here
you'll be
and
able
the
to
screen
put a
will
cyber
actually
gun on
follow
a
where I'm moving my
robotic
hand.
arm on on a
And doing
Bigfoot
different hand
in this
formations like
game.
this, we're able to change the modality of the system. For example, I'm able to move this little green cursor. I can move it in by making this hand formation. I'm able to move it just in the XY plane. Changing a different hand formation, I can move just in the Z dimension, or with a single finger, I'm able to move the green cursor and the cutting plane anywhere in 3 dimensions at the same time.
Okay, now I take it this is actually a design tool of some sort, so you can manipulate that object and build something?
Right. I can position the cursor inside the object, and I can just, by pinching my fingers together, which is a very natural movement, I'm able to actually grab onto the object.
I think
after we've positioned it.
yeah, this
I'm
would
able
make stuff
to
like Tilt
grab, for
Brush
example, a
and
face
other
and
VR
change the object.
things like
And,
that.
It's the kind of thing you would do with a mouse, pull and drag only in 3 dimensions.
Much
Right,
easier.
You're able to do tasks in 3 dimensions here, which is something you can't do it with a mouse, and you're kind of get a feel for.
Yeah, because that's always
material
hard
that you're
designing
using. Again,
anything.
I can change.
Because you gotta
the
turn
view,
all the
and
camera
if I would
around.
like, let me just grab it with a 3-dimensional movement.
Well, if I
and
could
now
just,
I'm
like, you
actually
know,
moving
do
that
this
edge
and then
off
whoop.
into the 3rd dimension, you can see how I've really pushed that out, and that's something you can't do with a 2-dimensional mouse.
You have a toolbox icon there. What do you do with that?
Well, it allows us to pick from a subset of tools.
No,
For
but
example,
the
here is a pencil,
but yeah,
and
just
as we,
getting the most.
move the
But yeah,
pencil around in
just
space, we're
the
able to
first
generate
animal
a
unit,
3-dimensional space
dolphins,
curve, which is something
very
that would be
good.
very difficult to do with a 2D mouse.
Very good.
Shadow of that line in
Let me
space.
rotate the
Ocean
view.
unit.
Right. And then you can see it from the side.
No. Dolphins had their time in the limelight.
Well, the other, for example, we have a
Sharks.
saw, which will actually separate the object. We can take it over and just position
No,
it
dolphins are the
inside object.
infiltrator.
And now
Aquatic.
Dolphins
cut
are
the
smart.
part in 2.
Sharks, however,
For example,
those are your bread and butter when it comes.
so
Because
let me just pull
the
the
idea
front piece
is,
away.
you just recruit the most ridiculous units.
You now have 2
The
pieces
first
there,
animal
2
unit
separate
you
pieces.
get on
start
land
having
is
to
a
pull apart.
bear.
All right, how do you actually start out making one of these figures with a,
You
well,
know
actually, with a
why?
primitive shape?
Right, we're able to
Any
open the primitive box
non-hyper
and
advanced
actually
enemy
grab
with a
one of the
like a
primitive shapes. For
super
example,
laser
this is just a
pistol
box. We
or
also
a
have
50
cylinders
caliber
and,
machine gun, it's
pyramids,
gonna have a
and then
tough
these
time
are just
dealing
things
with
the
a
other objects we
bear.
started with. You can start by just extending it, shrinking it, grabbing on
A
it,
combat
facing it.
bear.
All right, Jim, you're using the glove now for
No,
gesture
all
recognition.
animals on Earth have
And
become
what's the
hyper
next step? One
intelligent.
can actually go pick the piece up
At least
and get
human
feedback.
intelligence.
Well, Yeah, we're just using gesture recognition right
No,
now
when
to interact with the objects, but I think the real advantage of gloves.
well, not all of them. It's weird. There's a wave of just
incorporate the hand model that we saw earlier and actually put it in
energy
inside of an environment like this. Grab on an
But it
object,
doesn't make
twirl
them
it
all
between
talk,
your
thankfully, because
be able to have two gloves.
Because that would
bend them
require
out
way
of
more
the
voice
compliance
actors than
of the
we're willing
object.
to pay.
Okay, thanks.
However,
that's our look at virtual reality. Stay tuned now for this week's computer news on Random Access.
no, a few of them do talk, including the first bear you recruit.
Good enough.
In the Random Access file this week, this is a special summer edition with a focus on software. Here are last week's best-selling software titles for the PC according to PC Connection. Stacker 2.0 was number one, followed by the MS-DOS upgrade. EMS
It's almost over.
6.0, Approach and After Dark for Windows. Rounding out the top 10 are Windows 3.1, WordPerfect 5.1, Norton Utilities, and both Procom Plus for DOS
I didn't even
and
know
Windows.
WordPerfect was
Next
a
up, Paul
thing.
Schindler in our summer software review.
You ever have this problem? Two different kinds of Rolodex cards? Meshing them can be tricky. The same goes for PC databases. Now, if you have data in both Paradox and DBase files, there's help from a Windows database called Approach. This database allows you to manipulate files created by the two top PC databases, DBase and Paradox, as well as corporate data in an Oracle database. Use graphics to jazz up your forms. Approach makes it easy to switch from form design to form test and back. Here, form design isn't a separate program, it's just a click away behind the pencil. Click on the stack of papers, and you're back looking at your data. The walking fingers put you in search mode. Another set of buttons, just like those on a VCR, enables you to go to the start or the end. Anytime you double-click on a field in design mode, it brings up a menu that allows you to change any aspect of the appearance or content of that field. Approach is $400 from Approach Software in Redwood City, California. For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Paul Schindler.
That's it for this week's Computer Chronicles.
I guess you had to put a bit more production work back then. I guess also, you know, computers weren't as standardized, and also that's $400 in 1992 money. That's Adobe. That's like $800.
Can we go back to 1992?
If I went back to 1992 at $2,000, I could get me a good camera.
Imagine if we could go back to the 1950s with $2,000.
I would, if I went back to 1950 with my current bank account, I could walk into any club and come out with 3 cars and 14 women.
Wow, 3 cars and 14.
Any club. Even there weren't cars in the club when I went in there. No, why would there be a club with cars in it? I don't know.
Chronicles, I'm Janelle Stelson.
But yeah, so, let's just...
Computer Chronicles has been made possible in... Please specify program...
Okay, so, that was, so yeah. We've hit the, every video thing we do like this needs a quote. And I could walk into any club in 1950, and that whole thing was that quote. Okay, well,
yep.
I'll continue working on the best of, and bye, everyone.
Okay, bye.
I've got to get food.
Store-bought saran wrap? Bullshit.